The late Bronze Age Mediterranean functioned as a hyper-optimized, interdependent global supply chain, a vast network of specialized nodes operating like a circuit board. Bronze production required a strict ratio of copper and tin. Neither element naturally occurs in abundance in the same regions, forcing societies to import raw materials from thousands of miles away to maintain tools and weapons. Empires pulled copper from Mesopotamia, imported tin from the Balkans, and sourced gold from Central Asia. Physical proof exists in the Ulu Burun shipwreck, whose cargo held 10 tons of copper and a ton of tin, the raw economic output of multiple continents. Alongside these metals flowed olive oil, papyrus, and textiles. These acted as status symbols for the ruling class, fostering the diplomatic ties necessary to keep the trade routes open. Managing this network required centralized governance. Palaces functioned as administrative hubs, using strict bureaucracies to track the movement of grain and metals through their territory. This interdependence created immense wealth, but it removed the system's resilience. By relying on distant partners for survival, the great empires ensured that a localized disruption would spread through the entire network. The Mycenaeans were the coastal powerhouse of the West. They relied on maritime trade to fund their massive palatial centers, securing their wealth behind the immense infrastructural investment of these cyclopean walls. In central Anatolia, the Hittite Empire managed a sprawling administrative footprint. They governed a diverse population through a complex, fragile web of vassal alliances. To the south, the Egyptian Empire projected centralized authority. Unlike their northern neighbors, the pharaohs possessed a unique advantage. The Nile provided agricultural self-sufficiency. These powers synchronized their economies through diplomacy. The Amarna letters, written on clay tablets in cuneiform script, detail royal marriages and high-level hostage exchanges. These served as physical data packets to ensure cooperation between empires. Because imperial elites tightly controlled regional markets, the states became structurally dependent on one another. A failure at the periphery would travel straight to the core. Between 1290 and 1250 BCE, a prolonged cooling event across Eurasia placed the Mediterranean basin under systemic stress. This chart correlates tree ring and sediment data to map a rapid climate shift. Temperatures dropped sharply as Erosine dust spiked, altering weather patterns. This triggered severe Vogel-Fuga megadroughts, decimating crop yields. Simultaneously, fluctuating sea levels caused saltwater intrusion, poisoning coastal deltas and killing surviving crops. Decades of overpopulation and intensive land use had already caused severe soil erosion and deforestation. The land was losing its ability to recover. These environmental pressures were compounded by a violent sequence of earthquakes. Major fault lines along the Aegean ruptured in rapid succession, physically destroying the fortified infrastructure of the major cities. Economic decay followed. Without grain to trade or intact roads to move it, silver currency lost its value and local markets stagnated. These compounding climatic and seismic anomalies stripped the system of its resilience. The network was failing before the first human armies ever mobilized. The final shock came from the Sea Peoples. This confederation of naval raiders and displaced populations acted as a direct symptom of the climate crisis. Driven by starvation and the collapse of their own local structures, these groups migrated toward the surviving wealth of the core empires. Their warfare tactics favored mass infantry and rapid coastal raids. This allowed them to outmaneuver the heavy, expensive chariot warfare that the great empires had built their militaries around. The archaeological record shows the intensity of their advance. Skeletal data near Uluburun and mass graves at Kultepe reveal the scale of the conflict. A feedback loop emerged. Climate stress caused famine, halting trade. Weakened militaries invited invasion, further stressing the population. When central palaces burned, repositories of specialized labor, scribal expertise, and commercial records were destroyed. The institutional knowledge required to run the empire disappeared.
Without the ability to distribute food or bronze, ruling classes lost their administrative legitimacy. Starving populations began internal rebellions, often opening the city gates from the inside as the Sea Peoples arrived. The Hittite Empire in central Anatolia fractured as internal power struggles and a palace coup weakened their command structure. A two-front war followed. A western siege by Mycenaean and Mitanni forces pinned their army, leaving their eastern flank exposed to a brutal invasion by the Assyrians. Hattusa, the Hittite capital, was destroyed and permanently abandoned. The empire shattered into fragmented city-states. In Greece, the Mycenaeans were fatally exposed. By concentrating power in coastal citadels, they allowed sea people naval blockades to cut off their imports of tin and copper. Bureaucratic records from the economic archives of Pylos prove that factional competition among ruling elites drew resources away from defense right up until the end. Excavations at Tiryns and Mycenae revealed destruction layers across the cities. Their heavy Cyclopean walls could not compensate for a lack of food and resources. Forensic evidence in the Pylos central throne room uncovered signs of mass killings, capturing the violent collapse of the Mycenaean elite. The death of the administrators triggered the death of the culture. The linear B script used to record the Greek language was lost. Because literacy was restricted to a tiny class of palace scribes, burning the palaces destroyed the technology of reading and writing Greek for centuries. This was the physical erasure of cognitive and administrative systems, plunging the region into a dark age. Egypt survived the immediate wave. Geographic isolation and the predictable flooding of the Nile provided a baseline of food security that other regions lacked. They used imperial messengers to gather early warnings of troop movements across the Levant, allowing the pharaohs to mobilize their defense. Egyptian elites practiced economic prudence, focusing on domestic agriculture rather than over-leveraging the state on volatile foreign trade. At the Battle of Peri-Re in 1178 BCE, the Egyptian army successfully defeated the advancing Sea Peoples and Nubian mercenaries, but the effort drained the state treasury. Internal power struggles followed, and by 1090 BCE, the centralized state fractured into the Third Intermediate Period. Egypt avoided total destruction, but the global network that sustained its power was gone. Its era of supremacy had ended. Between 1200 and 1050 BCE, populations declined and cities were abandoned. Survivors regressed to localized tribal pastoralism. The cosmological order shifted. In place of rigid, palace-centered systems, localized mythologies emerged. Fragmented stories focused on kinship and communal survival. The network died. The Mediterranean was reduced to dark, disconnected zones. This isolation forced a technological reset. With the bronze supply chains severed, societies mastered a harder, more abundant metal, iron. New trade patterns emerged. The Phoenicians built decentralized maritime routes across the Mediterranean, moving goods without the need for massive palace bureaucracies. Language also shifted. The complex logographic scripts like cuneiform were replaced by the streamlined Phoenician alphabet. Iron was widely available in local deposits, unlike the rare tin and copper required for bronze. This broke the elite monopoly on tools and weapons. By moving from rare, imported materials to local resources, the new Iron Age societies decentralized power and technology. The Bronze Age collapse illustrates the risk of extreme systemic optimization. When a network is built for efficiency rather than resilience, localized shocks become systemic vulnerabilities. Compounding climatic, economic, and social variables drove this decline over several generations. The resulting diaspora scattered human capital. Displaced populations carried the alphabet and ironworking across the ruins of the Old World. The destruction of the Bronze Age cleared the architectural footprint for the genesis of classical civilization. Today, we have built a new, interdependent global supply chain. By prioritizing optimization over resilience, we are replicating the architecture of fragility that doomed the Bronze Age.